What's up, guys? My name's Jonathan Donnelly, and I live in northern Colorado. And what I'm going to be doing for you is making small little videos. I'm not really sure how long they're going to be, about beginning archery. I'm pretty new to archery myself. I've been shooting archery now for about 2 months, and for somebody who's been shooting 2 months, I would consider myself pretty decent for somebody who's only been shooting for 2 months. Basically, what I'm going to be teaching you, trying to teach and help myself learn at the same time, are beginning steps for new archers, people who know nothing about archery, like myself, who never shot a compound bow, as you see, or anything before. So if you're an advanced archer or you know a lot of your stuff, this video probably isn't for you, but hey, then again, it might be. It is always good to go over the basics, which is exactly what I'm going to be doing in these videos that I make. First things first, like I said, my name is Jonathan Donnelly. I live in northern Colorado, and I am absolutely, positively passionate and love archery. And I'm going to show you guys a bit of my rig right here. And by saying rig, because this is for new, that basically means my bow and what I have right here. This right here is a PSE Stinger X. And if you are a new person looking for a bow, I highly recommend this bow. It's one of the bottom line bows, very cheap. I think I only spent about 400 bucks on this bow, but excellent bow. I love it to death, and I am completely happy with this bow and everything. Vibration is a minimum, and basically what that means, when you shoot a bow, a lot of times after you release it, there'll be a bit of vibration that shoots through the bow. It's pretty minimum. Aim accuracy is great. Like I said, I split an arrow within my 3rd day of shooting. Okay, so I love this bow. Great bow. I'm not saying it's the greatest bow ever. There are way better bows, but if you're looking for a good starter bow, the PSE Stinger X is a great bow. I highly recommend it. Also, as you go there, you're looking probably for release as well. I have the True Fire one. This is the one mine looks like right here. And I like it as well. I like it because it's very adjustable. You can also bend it down. So like here, I'll show you real quick. Sorry about the weird camera angle, but it bends down as well. So a lot of them don't do that. They're always sticking up, which when you first start can make it kind of difficult for pulling out arrows. So I like this one a lot. So basically, I have the basic setup. The bow comes with everything that you need already. And you just buy the bow, buy arrows, buy a release, and you go shooting. What I recommend for you first starting archers as well is for your pins. And what are pins, you might ask? The pins are those things right there. I recommend setting them up at the top one, 20, the middle one, 40, and the bottom one, 60. Reason being, setting them up for that is because that way, 20 is a pretty normal range to shoot at, and 10 to 20 yards isn't a huge difference as far as how the arrow flies. And then your 40, there is a huge difference between 20 to 40 and between 20 and 30. So that way you can just shoot right in between to hit your 30 mark, and you have your 40 mark, and then you have your 60 mark, and you can shoot in between for 50. So it gives you a much broader range to actually hit for accuracy. So that's one of the things I recommend. Now, a few other things I want to go off and tell you guys about for shooting is some of the things that I noticed that helped me right away. Like I said, when I first started shooting, like I said, I split an arrow on my 3rd day. I've already split about 3 arrows. I kind of stopped trying to split arrows. I split my first 3 arrows in my first 3 weeks of shooting. And I'm trying more so now to challenge myself, because at first I was just like, oh, I'm going to get really good at 20 yards and try and split as many arrows as I can. And then after I went from there, I was like, okay, I'm going to try and go to 40. And after I went from 40 and I went back to 20, my 20 was excellent. Now I shoot pretty good at 40. Like I said, I'm a very new archer, everyone, so I know a lot of these distances are not difficult for a lot of you. But like I said, I've been shooting for about 2 months now. Right now, I primarily practice at 60, because at the range I go to, 60 is the furthest they have. And I like to challenge myself. I like to push myself, and that's what I recommend for all of you guys as well, who are really passionate about archery or want to become passionate about archery, or maybe you don't even know yet. Start wherever's comfortable for you. You don't have to shoot at 60 yards. You can shoot at 20 yards, you can shoot at 10 yards. If you love it and that's what you enjoy doing and you're doing what you like to do, keep doing that. Keep doing that. Progress, make yourself better, and just keep going. I personally, I expect perfection out of myself, and I want to be great. I want to be the best. So I push myself really hard, and I try to shoot as much as I possibly can. Unfortunately, right now, because of my work and the way that I work, I'm only able to shoot about 3 days a week. But when I come out here, I grind. I put the hammer down, and I put the pedal to the metal, and I try to stack knocks and stack arrows as much as I possibly can. Now, certain things are going to help you when you start shooting. So I'm going to try and figure out a way that I can actually do this, because like I said, I am filming by myself. So if camera angles get a little weird, I do apologize. But unfortunately, because I'm starting the video by myself, I don't have a cameraman quite yet, you're going to get some weird angles. So I want to show you how to hold a bow, okay? And I'm not 100% sure how well you're actually going to be able to see this, but I still want to show you anyway, because I want to help. Now, if you look at your hand, there's kind of like a little lifeline when you fold your hand like that, right there. The bow, you want the bow, and a lot of people say put it on the lifeline. I actually disagree with that. Some people would do it and they swear by it, and hey, you know, a lot of shooting a bow is what works for you. I personally like to set it a little more right on this area of my hand. The reason being is because what a lot of people will do with their bow is they will grip it like this, okay? When they shoot. This is a very beginner mistake. They grip it like this, okay? You do not want to grip the bow like this. The reason being why you don't want to grip the bow like this is because it puts torque on the bow, and when you squeeze the bow, your hand gets tired faster, and it causes you to shake and do this more so. Now, the littlest movements make the biggest difference down the range in archery. So, why most people say put it on your lifeline, that little line that I showed you right before, like right in there, just like that. The reason why I don't like to do that is because you still have a lot of hand contact pushing in different directions, so which still causes torque. I've noticed though, once I started putting it more so on the little fatty part of my hand, of my thumb, my accuracy skyrocketed. Personally, for me personally, like I said, my accuracy is going to be a lot different than a lot of you people who've been shooting for long periods of time. But I started putting on the little fatty part of my hand, and what I do is, like I said, I don't grip. I keep my hand straight open like this, okay? So that's what my hand looks like, basically, when I shoot. I'll give you some examples of what it looks like, as best I can. Like I said, if I had somebody putting with me, but that's what it kind of looks like. Now, another thing, apologize guys, like I said, I am filming by myself. So another thing that is really big is just the draw form, okay? So I'm going to try and show you draw form. I'm not 100% sure how well I'm going to be able to do this once again, because I don't have, I think I can just kind of explain it to you. So as best I can. So when you draw, okay, your arm is going to be extended and your hand is going to be open like that. And instead of straight, you don't lock your arm, okay? You want to have a slight bend in your arm. Your hand is going to be curved a little bit, just like that, okay? So let me show you. Your hand's curved and a slight bend, okay? And then when you pull back with your other hand, okay, you keep your hand just like that with a slight bend in the elbow. When you pull back with the other arm, okay, you're going to pull back, shoulder stays up, and what I personally like to do is I like to rest the knuckle of my pointer finger right behind the ball of my ear, which you'll know what that is. I know some people do it differently. The big thing is you don't have to do it the way that I say. Do whatever's most comfortable for you. I know one guy, he puts his thumb behind his neck, and that's where he anchors it, just like that. So that way he knows he's at the same place every time. And then what I basically do, one of the other most important things I started to realize for me being a new shooter, the thing that actually affects my accuracy the most, by far the most, is the way that I breathe. Breathing, I have noticed, has been the biggest either positive or negative when I shoot. When my groupings are together, if they're really off, I know my breathing almost always is the culprit. When my groupings are really tight, almost always my breathing was on point. There are times I do notice that my stance is wrong. And when I say stance, basically this is what I mean. Stance is different for everybody, but this is for me. Like, I'm showing people what I have found has worked for me. I will keep my feet about a shoulder's length apart, just about like that, okay? And my foot that's facing the target is a tiny bit back from my foot that is so my left foot, because I am a right-handed shooter, my left foot is a tiny bit back of my right foot and shoulder length apart, all right? That's how I do it. I try to get to where my sternum, which is the center of your chest, is aimed exactly when I start to shoot, is in line with where I'm trying to shoot, okay? And I said, then I pull back. And another thing I stopped doing, which I used to do, is I used to really grip the release like this the whole time that I was shooting. But I started to realize after doing it for a while is I'm kind of bending my release a little bit, which I imagine in some ways changes the trajectory of the arrow because of the way I'm bending the string a little bit. So I've stopped gripping the string. I just lightly touch it, because I do like to touch it still, and just boom. But I don't put any torque on it like I used to. So that's another thing. What I usually do for my breathing when I shoot, because I know I told you breathing is the biggest thing, like, and I kind of just left you hanging, so you're like, well, what do you mean my breathing? So what I usually do is I get my breathing under control, and I'm getting nice relaxed breaths. And before I draw, I take a deep breath in. So I'm going to show you basically. And I slowly release. You can release out your mouth, you can release out your nose. I personally like to release out my nose, even though while running, people like to release out their mouth. For me, I notice that my body is still more calm when I release out. I try to get to the same stage as I am when I'm breathing, when I don't even know that I'm breathing. That's how I try to shoot, in that same stage, because there's barely any movement going on. And so I just slowly release through my nose, and I try to actually shoot in that brief spans to where there's no movement in my breathing and like no heartbeat and no everything. And I'm not perfect at it, but that's what I personally try to do. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to shoot a few arrows. I know I've been talking a lot and I've given you a lot of information, but I'm going to shoot a couple arrows, and you know, my arrows might be way off, and they might be, hey, I might get someone that are really good. But I shoot at this range because I'm not good at it. I don't shoot at this range because I'm good at it. I shoot it because I'm not good at it, and I want to get better. So, like I said, I like to challenge myself. So I'm going to put you guys at another weird angle and everything, and I'm going to try and scoot back far enough so where you can see everything. All right, and I'm going to kind of describe to you like what I'm doing. Once again, I'm putting the handle basically right in the fat of my thumb. My arrows, what you should also know is your arrows, there'll be 3 different colors. If you have a whisker biscuit, which what a whisker biscuit is it's this thing right here, what I'm poking my finger through, okay? You want basically the odd color arrow facing up, not in that black part. So what you'll do is you'll put it on, you knock it until you hear that click noise, place it in there, and as you see, my white is sticking up and my 2 green are facing down. That way it is not going through the black right here, which I don't know if you can even see, okay? So that's what you do there. Now, as I was saying, I put it in the fat of my hand. I kind of raised it up, just barely touching the top of the arrow. Like I said, I'm not gripping tight or anything. Then you take your release, put on your little loop, is what we'll just call it for right now, all right? When you pull back with your release, okay, keep your finger behind the trigger, okay? Don't put it in front, don't put it on top, keep it behind, because you don't want to accidentally misfire, all right? Now, get your feet shoulder length apart, everything just like that. All right, I'm pretty sure you guys can see everything that I'm doing. Shoulder length apart. What I like to do is, some people like to start up like this. Some people, you know, nobody really starts low. I personally usually start right here, but today I'm going to just start up like this because that's what most people do. You pull back. You try to pull back mainly with your thumb. After you get pulled back, you then bring your thing. What you do is you look through the peep, line up your sight, and then you release. Just like that. That personally was not actually a really good shot, and I know why. My breathing was really off just because I'm talking so much, and I'm not used to actually talking a ton.